Dirty on the Couch. Hey guys, and welcome back to Dirty on the Couch. It is, and I am your host, Leah Callaghan. I hope you are having the most glorious of days, whatever you are up to, whether you are binging podcasts or maybe you are going from podcast to Netflix, or maybe you're just on a nice stroll. I hope that it's delightful. It's nice to chat to you all again today. I've been pondering many things to share with you, and I've been myself actually wasting way too much time on Facebook. And recently I went on a little, down memory lane with a lot of the Facebook recommended memories that they pop up. And I was scrolling through and I saw a photo of a friend that I haven't seen for I think maybe 11 or 12 years, so really long time. Anyway, and I clicked through and I found her profile, and then she's not following me anymore. She's unfollowed me on Facebook, which to me is so far, people do that all the time, but it was just so weird because I was like, oh, did I do something to make her unfollow me? And this is what I wanted to talk to you guys about today, is about friendships, the things that we do or don't do that maybe we end up losing good quality friends over when we don't even realize it, and how friendships, there's never ever purposeful conversation when it comes to friendships. How many, in a romantic relationship, you'll have a define the relationship moment where you'll say, okay, we're dating, or no, I don't want to be with you, or this is just casual, whatever. But in friendships, I feel like you never do that. Maybe you don't have enough time. Maybe you've gone from being child free to then you have kids, and so you don't have as much time, and so you never have a conversation that says, look, I still really value you, but I can only fit you in once every 6 months now. Or even if maybe the people not connecting anymore, maybe you're not in similar life stages. We never have conversations, and it's no big deal, but I don't think that we're on the right path together. I know maybe I'm over analyzing it a little bit, but I just think that it's so funny because it's one area of our life that we don't put as much time and effort in. We just think that these friendships will happen, and then when people disappear, we're so confused, and then we wonder if we've done anything or if it's personal. This friend, I was trying to figure out, because it was such a long time ago, whether or not I'd done something back then to offend her, and that's why she would have unfollowed me, or if we just naturally parted ways and drifted as you do. I moved states, and then she just did a Facebook cull, and one day I'm no longer in the list, which would be totally fine. People, don't stay friends forever, and people drift apart. But I really wanted to try and make sure that there was nothing I had done that could have possibly offended her. And I haven't really figured it out. I did think at the time, I know my young 20-year-old brain was very much caught up in my own world. I was very self-focused, very focused on what I was doing. But then ironically, I was so desperate for friends when I had this friendship with this girl. I really just I felt like I could never connect with anybody. I never had anyone that was my people. And the irony is that she may have wanted me to be one of her people, but because I had such tunnel vision, I missed the opportunity to see her efforts to really want to connect with me, and it could have then turned into something of a really beautiful friendship. So I've been analyzing that relationship, and I feel like it's because I missed her cues, and so she tried a few times over the course of our friendship, and I think I never reciprocated how that same level of friendship, and so she probably was like, oh, well, Leah's not interested, or maybe that offended her because I brushed her off. And so because I was so focused on looking for, my perfect match friend or my husband or whatever it was, that I missed this beautiful friendship right in front of me. And I have noticed that has happened to me quite a few times. I think I get so caught in my own head that I don't see the attempt of the other person. And I think this can happen to us in any relationship. We are so focused on what they've done to me and the hurt that I've experienced, or the whatever you're missing out on, where you're going, so that you actually miss the repair attempts that someone's making or the effort that someone's making, because we get so caught up in our own thinking, in our own mind. And I was thinking about another friendship I had, a little bit of a different circumstances. There was a situation and I was really hurt by this particular friend, and we kind of lost contact. And anyway, probably about 6 months after kind of the incident, we'll call it, this friend reached out to me again. And instead of seeing her olive branch that she was reaching out to me, I was just still so hung up on my hurt of what she had done 6 months ago that I missed the opportunity to repair the friendship. And even if I had, didn't want to be friends with her because the hurt was too much, the chance to go, you know what, I can see that you're trying to make an attempt here. You're trying to recognize, that there was something not quite right. I could have, been responsible, had a coffee, and really owned that hurt, and be like, what you did in this situation really upset me. And whether then we decide to move forward as friends or whether we decided to call it quits, but then we would have had the closure that we both needed. Well, I don't know about her, maybe she doesn't need closure, but for me, the closure that I needed to be able to then move forward, because I often then thought about this friend for years afterwards. And I remember thinking, oh, what happened to that? I just don't understand, she hurt me, but then she never reached out and she never tried to make it better again. And we had such a great friendship. And then it wasn't since, years later when I was over the hurt and I'd moved past myself and my own issues that I was then able to look back, and I look back at all our text messages, and I noticed that she was trying to make all this effort and trying to make these repair attempts, and I just kept shutting them down because I was so self-righteous and so like, oh well, no, I'm in the right in this situation and you hurt me. But how is she ever meant to move past that? How are we meant to build our friendship if I won't let it go? And I mean, I think that's the maturity of age, isn't it? Like, as you get older, you then think, okay, this is either worthwhile having a final chat or a final text message or whatever because I value this person, or maybe it doesn't even bother you because maybe you don't even think about these things. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only person who overanalyzes everything. Like, it doesn't matter what relationship it is, I will analyze it. They should call me Analyzer Leah or something other more scientific and smart. But I just think I do this with all my friendship, and it's taken me a really long time to separate myself and to be able to think really analytically and critically about my part that I'm playing in a relationship. And I think this is so important. Like, I'm taking this through, my romantic relationships, I'm taking it through my family relationships and my friendships. And I'm trying to think, okay, if there's a dynamic that I don't like in a relationship, what can I do? I can't do anything about that person. I can't fix where they're at. I can't change their behavior. I can't change anything that they do because they're their own person. The only thing I have control over is myself. The only thing that I can change in any situation is myself and how I respond, or what I do or don't do, or boundaries that I have or I don't have. And so I think I'm really in this process of looking at all the relationships in my life and seeing, okay, what's a healthy relationship? What's a non-healthy relationship? Where do I have no boundaries? Like, I've terrible my whole life with friends, with everything. Like, I don't have boundaries. And as a result, I've had, I think, quite a few toxic friendships or relationships because I've never protected myself. I've never said that's okay, or I've gone above and beyond so that the end result is me being a depleted person with, half the energy or half the capacity left because I gave it all away to friends, family, and, my romantic partner. So, which is no one's fault but my own. And people will only take what you give them. If you're giving them all of you, then they'll take all of it. And because you haven't put anything up to protect yourself, I just think, I'm just learning so much personally, and I just really hope that you get something from this too. Maybe there's someone that you can think about that you could be a better friend to, or that maybe you need to protect yourself from. Maybe you leave that friendship feeling exhausted every time, and maybe you're not sure why, but think about maybe the kinds of conversations that you have. Think about what they need from you, what they're asking from you. Think about whether or not they're always very positive, if they always talk about themselves. If it's not a balanced relationship or friendship, one party is always going to be drained and exhausted from that relationship. And so it might be a seasonal thing, like sometimes there, often relationships, there's one party that needs a bit more and there's give and take. But even within that, you can set yourself up for success. So you might go, okay, well, this friend I know is going through a lot and I'm also going through a lot. So I think the way that we can support each other is maybe we'll just do once a month catch up instead of once a fortnight, and we'll do it with a walk. So you can't really get really too heavy or whatever it may be. I don't know. That's just an idea or an example. And I don't know if that would even work. And I'm not a psychologist. Like, I don't really know, and you should always try and get outside help. But this is just kind of things that I've been thinking on and things that I've been trying to implement for myself. Like phone calls with family members. If they usually go for 45 minutes and you end up really drained at the end of it, and it's not productive and it's not helpful and you're not being, it's not a balanced relationship, then you need to set up that phone call so that you can at 15 minutes be like, okay, have a nice night, and, have the end of it. And it's really important to protect yourself so that you have energy, and you've got energy for yourself and for your job and your day-to-day life and all of those things, which is really, really important. And the other thing, my closing thought that I've been really thinking on is about our own emotional needs. So we all have emotional needs, physical needs, all sorts of needs. But I think it's really important in all of our relationships, friendships, romantically, family, to think about how you can meet your own needs first. So have a think about, for example, like if I'm really needing physical touch, I really would like a cuddle, I can definitely go to my partner or to my family member and ask them for that. But if that's not available for me, a dangerous pattern would be then to go, I don't know, meet someone in a bar. Not that you can do that during COVID, but theoretically, or to then go and see a friend to have a cuddle on the couch with them, but then they may not feel comfortable with that. So then to think, okay, creatively, how can I meet my own need in this situation? Well, I could go get a massage. That is physical touch. Even though it's a stranger, you actually are meeting that core need of yours, and then also get a massage. So you'll be very relaxed, which is really great. Or for example, if you think about, okay, I'm feeling really emotional. I really just want to catch up with a friend so I feel better. But what is the real underlying need of why you want to catch up with that friend? Are you wanting that friend to make you feel better? Are you going to them because you want them to be your comfort, instead of being like, okay, actually what I really need is I need to find peace. I need to comfort myself, or I need to figure out, okay, I'm uncomfortable with this, or I'm sad about this. Maybe journal or do something like that. Or even like for myself, so the other day I really, really felt like, I really wasn't coping. I've had a lot of emotions going around. I felt really depressed and really unsettled. And so my instinct was to, who can I hang out with? Who can I see? Who can distract me from this? But then the more I thought about it, and I gave myself time to stop, pause, think about it, and I realized, actually, I just think I need to be in a busy situation. Like, so my home is very peaceful and not calm, but like there's no one here is what I'm trying to say. It's very quiet. And so I took myself to brunch, and I sat in a really, really busy cafe, and I read a book, and I had my brunch, and I was all by myself. But the busyness is actually what I needed more than, say, if I tried to catch up with a friend, and as a result I would have been more needy and I would have been more desperate for their attention and their advice. And if then we only hung out for an hour, oh my goodness, I would have then taken offense by that, because I'm going to them for them to meet my need, rather than taking pause and going, okay, what do I need that I can sort myself out first, bring myself up to like a coping level, and then you can hang out with your friends as equal like people and just appreciate for what they're bringing, and they can appreciate for what you're bringing, rather than being like, oh my gosh, fulfill me, And I think not only does that put the power back in your hands, it's very empowering, but it also will make your relationships richer. And I'm finding that for myself. Like already I feel a lot stronger in myself personally. I feel like I'm more in tune with what I want in any situation. So I'm not just making rash decisions because I've slowed down and I'm like, okay, is this beneficial? And I'm having at the end of the weekend the feeling I feel really I actually feel really relaxed. I feel really fulfilled. I really feel like the weekend, even though it was only 2 days, is worthwhile. Whereas before, I'd try and fit so much stuff in and be so busy and cram everything down. So I never was actually dealing with anything or listening to myself. And at the end, I'd roll into the next week feeling exhausted and like, oh, the weekend's never long enough. And even that, though I might have seen like, I don't know, 5 different people for breakfast, lunch, dinner, coffee, everything, I would not be as peaceful and I would not be as fulfilled, and I'd end up feeling more exhausted rather than being like, okay, I've met my needs. Then I've also had beautiful quality time with friends and family, and now I feel refreshed and fulfilled. But it starts with us. Like it starts back with us taking responsibility, like what I was saying before. We are in control of ourselves. No one can make us do anything. No one can make us feel anything. It's so important to take ownership over ourselves and just really be like, and really fine tune, like it's hard work to not, when you're feeling, when you're like, you just want to cry, but you don't want to sit with those emotions. You don't want to think about it. You don't want to feel anything. You want someone to distract you. Like it is so hard to sometimes pause, feel those feelings and think, okay, what can offset them in a healthy way? That's just me. Like, what can I do that I can do? And yeah, and I just think that is so empowering, and I just feel very, very empowered at the moment. It's like my catchphrase or my whatever. It's like the more you start looking within to meet your own needs, to fulfill what you need out of life, to drive your own purpose or whatever it is, like there's so much more contentment and joy in that than just waiting for other people, waiting for someone, the right person to fulfill you romantically, the right friendship to be the perfect friend for you and what you've always wanted, the right family member to, perform in the way that you think that a family member should perform. Like when you take ownership back of those things, then you have more freedom because you are making choices. Life isn't happening to you, you're happening to life. Anyway, I'll get off my motivational speaker stand. This has been a very pump it up, you can do it kind of thing. But I think, I hope that you can really start to get encouraged and start to take time, especially during this year, which is so, unprecedented. We do have the luxury of a little bit more time on our hands. So why not dig deeper, go into your emotions, analyze where you're at, and you never know, you might come out the other side of this like a really strong, wise, put together person. I don't know. I'm hoping that's where I'm heading. You just don't know if it'll actually work out, but we'll see. But thank you so much for listening to another episode of Dirty on the Couch. I have been your host, Leah Callaghan. You can watch this episode too on YouTube. If you want to see my face, I'm wearing some fun sparkly earrings just for the YouTube watchers. And you can also follow me on Dirty on the Couch on Instagram. But I hope you have a most glorious time doing whatever you are doing, and we will chat soon. Bye.